do our karmas according, our part, our actions according to what we want, according to our wishes. But uh, there is a confusion in my mind, that when divine is driving us and instructing us to do everything, so how come we can put our actions forward, or
Huh. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is a nice miss. How do we, where does our role come in if it is the divine that is doing the work, isn't it? If we have
yes,
to allow the divine to drive. See, actually, if that when you understand the divine is driving, you are free of all worries. You're free of all anxieties. Like they say, Jako rakhe saya mar sake na koe. Arjun was in a yuddha. He was frustrated. All his family members are standing against him. Nobody is standing for him at all. And at that time, Krishna is there, but Krishna was there and still he was having that confusion, isn't it? But at the end, 18th Adhyaya, he says, Nashtur moha smrutir labdha tat prasadan maya chitaha sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Means the same Arjuna, nothing has changed. Suddenly there was no earthquake on the Kauravan side and half of the forces eliminated. No. No change in the ground situation in the material. Yet, consciously he understood that he understood what Krishna told many adhyayas before. But he understood it later only. Because this is our life. Means we see, there's an active Brahman and there is what is the silent Brahman, which is told, no, in the Upanishad. We have to understand both their roles, and if Krishna Nimitta Matra, you are the Nimitta. If you are your job, what is your job? We have to kind of shift gears, become active when we are doing that action, and then become again receding. Because when you really realize that the divine is the driver, you don't have to do anything. You're not going to give direction, no. He's not your taxi driver that you have hired, no. Yeah, chalao, chalao, left, right. That also sometimes it's unnecessary to give instruction to a taxi driver because the route is known for that person better. And if you really irritate, what will the person driver do? He'll say, ah, theek hai, I'll go this way. You reach a dead end. That is where ahankar and ego comes in the play. But when the divine is driver, you don't have to worry. You can take your laptop and do the other work. Whatever works you can do, not intervene in the divine's work. That could probably be the answer, Payalji. Is that okay?
yes,
All right. I
yes.
think with this, let
Thank you.
us begin with,
Thank you so
yeah, let us
much.
begin with the invocation. Yes. सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. Namaste. Can someone recollect what is this? What is it that we saw last? We form the link and then go ahead. Yes, please. Anyone? Today we don't have Chitraji, so she will not be giving the summary. So somebody else. Yes, please.
Um,
And then the session cannot go ahead without a summary. So we'll have to, and it's like everybody can piece a bit of what we have done. It doesn't have to be the entire summary.
yeah,
Anyone, please feel free to unmute.
maybe let me attempt.
Yes, sir.
Though I'm not. I'm not sure. Let
Sir,
me make an
nobody
attempt.
can say expertise on Vedanta, sir. Everyone is on the same level.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Um, Yesterday we covered something about the game of forces, and the
Yes,
game
sir.
of forces are the duality, vidya and avidya, where the knowledge of the ignorant is very rigid, and that of um, um, the attained is much higher and darkened because it's focused
Yes, sir.
on that. And then we spoke about the Brahman and silent Brahman, and the Brahman actively participating in all the activities. And what Savitri? Uh,
Yes, sir.
sorry, not that. And then, we spoke about the doctrine of the awakened.
Ah.
Um,
And the dualities, isn't it, sir?
Yeah, duality. Yeah.
Vidya, avidya,
Vidya,
sambhuti, and
Vidya. Yeah.
asambhuti.
Yeah. Um,
So,
so we spoke briefly. We touched about doing the karma, which is as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, that yeah, everything is divine's will. Then we touched upon Upanishad briefly. I think it was
yes,
repeated. I mean, Nachiketa's story, and then we covered slogas from 12 to 15.
14, 15.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and we
We
also
also saw the next movement of it was
we
originating.
also yeah we also uh, we touched upon manifestation and dissolution,
Yeah.
and there are no difference. It just transcends. And about fourth movement, I think we are still we
Yes,
have to
sir.
touch that. I think yeah, that's mind is
Yeah.
a vehicle,
As
and
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Ji, sir. Thank you, Sudhakar, sir. I think that was a beautiful summary. Couldn't have, I think, told all the points what sir told. So, yes, this aspect of manifestation, dissolution, vidya, avidya, these dualities are something we face every day in life. Everywhere we try to we have our preferences, isn't it? And so we do what we prefer. We do what we are used to. So manifestation, sometimes we even oppose manifestation, and sometimes we get very anxious with dissolution. But we also saw what is that Mrityunjay mantra, isn't it? That mantra is about transcendence, transcending what? Karma bandhana. And when you transcend karma bandhana, you attain what is the taste of immortality. We also checked if anybody wants to live 5,000 years. Unfortunately, nobody wanted 5,000 years of life. So, if immortality is being granted by Krishna to everybody, no, everybody is saying, no, thank you. Life will be very boring. But this Upanishad is telling, don't get trapped in the rat race even for dissolution. Like many say, I want moksha. Who is going to give? We are going to get moksha. I went in search of nirvana in a store and I got nirvana once. Only it was the name of the agarbatti. In Pondicherry, you can. I'm not advertising, but that's the only nirvana you can go and get. But you can't really get nirvana like that. It is a consequence. Krishna talks about Brahma nirvana and even transcending Brahma nirvana. Because the moksha that Krishna talked about was the moksha that he is going to give for those yogis who are doing action. Who is that yogi then? Who has a particular beard or who has a particular colored robe or who has done upside down Shirshasana for these many years. Who is the yogi? Anybody?
A yogi is a person who is oblivious of the things happening around him.
Oblivious or conscious?
He is conscious but oblivious of the worldly things.
No, so that is the difference in this Upanishad actually, because this Upanishad is asking us to, because when you become oblivious of the world, worldly things, we
Hmm.
become oblivious of the active constituent of the Brahman. Means there are two parts of the Brahman, isn't it? So one is the silent Brahman and one is the active Brahman, which is moving around in the Prakriti. And it's very interesting and it is attractive to go into the silent Brahman. We all like peace. We all like, I mean, we don't want to come out of that. Just like how on Sunday we enjoy, but Monday morning we don't like, nobody likes to go to work because, oh, it's like, it is this aspect of attachment to that is also in the Upanishad. It is talked about it is a danger. Sri Aurobindo also talked about it, and this Upanishad specifically tells Kurvan neveha karmani jijivishe chatam samam. Karma is the work which has been allotted to you by the divine because everything belongs to the divine. This world is also belonging to the divine. Whatever karma is given to you, whatever karma is ordered to you is the divine sanction. And we are nobody, like we just, I think Payal madam just asked, what do we do? The driver is also our guide. He's not just a driver. We have to just follow. The route will be taken, but we have to not hold on to our attachment because manifestation and dissolution. Suddenly, I want a particular manifestation, but my brain is limited and I don't know what is the higher manifesting will. All I have to do is align myself with it and allow that to take place. It's just, and who is a yogi is actually every single person who is in a state of yog or who has broken the state of vyog. Means vyog is separation from that divine consciousness. All of us have, it's like we all have the same device to connect. Only we don't have the password for that Wi-Fi. It's just as simple as that. The moment we get that password, we get that connection, and each of us is in yoga. Each of us is yogi. Arjuna was a yogi with, weapons. He was a yogi who was going to take part in a battle which is going to be full of adrenaline rush, so many things happening. But in that battle, he was not going to get excited because from the inside, he was going to be calm, like how in the Upanishad it is said, Dhiranam, yenastad vichachakshare. Iti Shushruma Dhiranam. The Dhira, he's Dhira on the inside, so it doesn't matter. Whatever is the work. Whatever, if the divine wants us to be silent, we be silent. If the divine wants us to be active and ready. So this preference is what we have to come out of the choice, because there are two ends, both are dark. If someone were to ask who is greater, is the brahmachari greater, is the grihastha greater, is the vanaprastha greater, or the sannyasi greater? Anybody, what will be the answer to that question if this is asked? The four stages of life, isn't it, for everybody? They go through those stages. Which is the greatest stage in these four? Or who is greatest? If you don't, who is greatest among these four?
None of them.
None of them. Or the Brahman is the greatest, whoever is able to understand, align with the Brahma Jnana or Brahma Vidya and bring it into practice, that person is greatest. It doesn't matter which stage of that, where that person is. That is something we have to go beyond dualities. That was what we saw in the third moment. And there are some critics of Sri Aurobindo who say why this Upanishad has to be divided into moments. That's why we entered into what is, we saw the fourth moment. That is where we saw the first verse. We saw everywhere dualities is there in the third moment. Fourth moment is getting a different change. Just give me a moment. I'll try to. Yes. We saw the 15th shloka. And before the 15th shloka, just let us look at, what we can say, the quote. This is the quote of the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram. It is in relation to a realization of what is called a supermind, the supramental manifestation, something which Sri Aurobindo devoted his entire life for it. After his experience in the Alipur jail, he got an adesh from the divine, from Krishna himself, and Sri Aurobindo then went into a room which everybody was surprised. Why such a yogi who is like a, what we call a rock star in the freedom movement, who's added such fervor that young Subhash Chandra Bose and everybody are already very fiery forces. They were driven by that energy of Sri Aurobindo. Some of them got disillusioned. Why has he left? He's making the same mistake. The one who has understood both the Brahmans, the active and the silent, will such a person who has written the commentary on the Isha Upanishad about not rejecting the world, why did he enter into that state? Because that was the divine will. He transcended action and non-action, and that he was working for this manifestation. And what was that? We'll just read out what the mother has told. It was on the 29th of February, 1956. This evening, these are the words of the mother. This evening, the divine presence, concrete and material, was there present amongst you. I had a form of living gold, bigger than the universe, and I was facing a huge and massive golden door which separated the world from the divine. As I looked at the door, I knew and willed in a single moment of consciousness that the time has come, and lifting with both hands a mighty golden hammer, I struck one blow, one single blow on the door, and the door was shattered to pieces. Then the supramental light and force and consciousness rushed down upon the earth in an uninterrupted flow. This is a spiritual experience of 1956 of the mother. Who is the mother? She is a collaborator, spiritual collaborator of Sri Aurobindo. We can say if Sri Aurobindo was a silent Brahman, the mother was the active Brahman, both part of the same. No need to make any distinctions if you look at it in the light of the Isha Upanishad. Now, what is this breaking? Why should one break a golden door? No, somebody will say, what is the need? What is this manifestation? Well, that is exactly what this next verse, which we had seen. Sometimes what appears on the surface is not the truth. Anybody has heard of this often used phrase, all that glitters is not gold.
Is not
If you can
gold.
just tell it's yes, what is the context of it? Anybody? What does it imply? What is the wisdom behind that often used phrase?
You want to see the real thing behind the light.
Behind the light. So behind the light, the real thing. Generally, light is real, isn't it? Light is
Yeah.
real, but that light is being blocked many times. Blocked by what? By molds of our past sanskaras. What happens when the room of the bright light is there in the next room, but your room light is not working? But you shut that door of the other room, your room is dark, isn't it?
Yes.
You cannot receive the light at all. The only way you can do that is by breaking that or opening that door, isn't it?
Hmm.
Otherwise, that light will not flood into you. Same way, our mold. We have an understanding. We have what we call, my Guruji Damleji always says, these preconceived notions, opinions, all of these become a hurdle for the light. Most of the time, we decide a person is a fool means it is a, that's it. Even if that person speaks anything which may be sense, it is going to appear nonsense. And sometimes we decide this person is wise. So even if that nonsense is spoken, oh, this is so deep, it has got so much meaning. There'll be 500,000 viral reels on the same thing, on the same nonsense, because we've decided. So it's like, yeah, see, I also felt it. Everybody will say I felt it. But what is it? Is it realized? These are all dualities, and all these dualities have to be transited truly for real truth, for the real manifestation of the truth. But our past, our past is always hovering in over us. Means I think connecting it again with the question that Payalji asked, divine will is functioning. Is it functioning only to some people? Some people have some subscription package of the divine will. Other people don't. No, it's not. Everybody it's functioning. Problem is nobody is allowing it to manifest. The screen is frozen. If anybody is able to hear me, there's I think network. If are you able to hear me? All right. Yes. Thank you.
A
Yes.
question.
So
Sorry.
okay, Sudhakarji has a question. Yes, sir.
Yeah. If divine is acting through the humans, then why some people are doing bad karmas in life? They only do bad things to
How?
others, like say anti-social
Okay.
elements. Then what is divine's wish? Why should divine guide a person like that? For what?
Okay. Yes, sir. I think when we don't go to antisocial elements, even we look at regular after looking at antisocial elements first. But this question of means even sometimes regular people don't allow divine will, no, to manifest. Even regular people don't allow. But if you see antisocial elements, this question even Arjuna had asked more than 5,000 years back to Krishna in the Gita when Krishna told Arjuna that, hey Arjuna, you have a divine inside of you. Not you, everybody has a divine inside. Immediately, Arjuna had this question is like, what if there is a divine? Why are people doing sin? What is the reason? So that answer to it is, I think, similar to the question, insightful question shared by Sudhakar sir. That is, why do people sin if there is divine? Well, these are the forces we talked about in the last session. It's like Krishna answered, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajo Guna Samudbhava. If you look study the Gita, there are it's like Prakriti. There is beauty, there is ugliness. There is what we call vikara also, isn't it? There is this there's a akar of the divine, but there's also vikara of the divine. A prototype that is failed, and also a prototype that is good, and both are in the same environment. So here, those who are not available, it's like those people with rajas force, those anxious people. What are they saying? Driver, don't you dare turn left, turn right. I am telling you. The driver says this is not the right route. But no, they are running after their desires and whims. So the question of sin, why do antisocial elements sin? It is because they don't have higher consciousness, they are not connected. But let us look at ordinary people who don't allow the divine will to manifest. Have you ever noticed that sometimes? good people. We're not talking about the worst example. Let us look at everybody. People like you and me. Myself, I give as an example. I don't say that every moment I'm manifesting divine will. Anybody, would you like, what do you think could be the reason that any ordinary individual doesn't manifest the divine will?
I guess we're also used to going our own way, that we don't stop to think, guide me and follow. And we're all
No.
mentally all over the place all the time. I guess you could call it a sort of an ego, because that's how we've been. So every
Yeah,
movement has to be policed, every movement and thought has to
but
be
again, if I
think. You
think
have to
about
be
my
very
thought,
careful. Yeah.
can if I think about my thought, I will be very much lost from action every time because I am going to think about thinking right, and then I'm going to verify if this thought is correct or not, and who is going to answer it? My mind. My mind will function according to the dualities. What
Mhm.
I call good may not be good for somebody else.
Okay.
Instead of what we can say is we like say for example to eat chocolate or not to eat a chocolate depends on desire inside of the individual, isn't it? Suddenly the
Mm.
person is who's able to control is not able. Yes, I think so. Somebody wants to ask, share something. Yes, please. It's Sugna ji
Yeah,
or
I
Alpana ji.
just,
Okay, Alpana
sorry,
ji. Yes, please.
I was
Please
just
go
Because
on.
thinking
of
that
Maya,
when you, sorry, let the other person continue, then I will speak. Okay.
sorry,
Acha,
because of
okay.
Maya,
That is right. Maya. Maya is something which causes Bhranti. Bhranti is confusion, isn't it? And the funniest part is people who are confused call everybody else confused. Yes, Alpana ji is saying something.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
ji.
was wondering that, see, the will of the divine is there, it's the inner voice, but we forget
Hmm.
momentarily. We have been given this, I think, Vismaran, what you say. We just forget that, that my
Then it
inner
is
voice
not
is,
our fault at all, isn't it? We
but
don't
we
have
forget to
to.
listen to that inner voice,
Yeah,
and
so this is
we
because of
take our own
Prakriti, isn't
decision.
it? This is because
Hmm.
of nature. Then what's unnatural in it? There's nothing unnatural in it. Everybody is going to forget, and everybody is going to do wrong. Then what's going to happen? Well, among us, there are some. You look into any office. I would not just say government office, go to a private office also, any project, any team. There is one person who is going to do the work like Atlas.
Hmm.
All the others are
Carrying
busy
the
reading
burden.
the newspaper, doing something else, just pretending to do work. So what happens is one person decides to move towards light, but everybody else, they prevent that movement and they don't allow themselves also to go. What is the reason? That is, they are trapped in the nature or trapped in Maya, is what Alpanaji has said. They're so trapped that they're not understanding that by preventing their own teammate from going ahead or progressing, they're bringing their entire team down, isn't it?
Mm.
It's like, I will fail. It's okay, but you cannot succeed. Even if that means I am also going to fail, I will make you also fail. I cannot allow you to progress. I am like this, meaning the mold, everybody, some rigid, sometimes people are trapped by rigid thoughts, rigid rituals, so many of this that they forget what is the higher spirit. That is
Mm.
the mold that has to be broken, and that is exactly what we look at in this particular Upanishad. I mean, this particular verse. The dream, or the not dream, it was not a dream, sorry for that statement. It was actually a spiritual experience of the mother, where she visualized the breaking. During the manifestation, there was supramental manifestation. It was an occult phenomenon which not everybody realized, not everybody understood. A few, very few. So many had come for sadhana, but just a few. I remember my master, my Guruji, saying that only one or two people were there, apart from the Divine Mother, who could actually experience the manifestation. Only one or two in Pondicherry, another person was somewhere else in another continent. But what about everybody else? That mold had not broken, so that door was closed. So, despite being so in close proximity, they were away. Like many people, sometimes they go to the temple, they do so many things, but they are doing it on the surface level. It's not really gold. You think these are golden people, but they are not. What they call fool's gold only is there. Real is something behind that. And that is why we have to be alert, we have to be awake, because only then we can move towards progression. Otherwise, we will be trapped in vikara and there's going to be decadence. Decadence in the absence of divine consciousness. It is only a lower moment, isn't it?
Mm.
In the Upanishad also we saw a verse, Yeke cha atmano janaha, andha tamaha pravishanti. Those people who are going against the light, what are they doing? They're calling inflicting self harm, what we call suicide. It's a suicidal action. It is not required. We should realize that we don't want to run away from the divine. We must break the molds and welcome the divine. Otherwise, if we do not do that, we will not progress. And actually, everybody we are connected to also will not progress, because it is said one person with their sadhana can elevate the entire kula. Past generations, future generation, everybody become Shuddha and purified and move ahead just by virtue of one yogi. That is the power of a person's sadhana. And Krishna has told everybody becomes sadhak. What will happen if, say, in the office only one person really becomes the best, becomes so good that even the lazy people feel, huh, this person is doing so much work, useless fellow is doing so much work, at least let me do a little bit now. Otherwise, I may lose my job because the standard is going to get raised, isn't it? Yad yad acharati shresthaha. The standard is set by the greatest. The people become the examples. People become examples for whom? For their family, for the society, or the world at large. When? When they understand and move towards that divine consciousness. Not getting trapped, not getting confused by what is manifest, and not getting afraid of dissolution of older sanskaras. If Arjuna was afraid, isn't it, of his because of his ties with his relatives, with everybody else, he
Hmm.
imagined all worst case scenarios. Guru Hatya, Mitra, Droha, Kula, Kshaya, Varna, Sankara. All these were not real. They were just mirages of fears, of attachments. Attachments of what? Of these bonds which he thought were divine. They were not divine bonds. And they had to be dissolved. But he was getting confused with dissolution just like everybody. But I think we have to embrace ourselves. Let the divine work. Sri Aurobindo has called pain as a hammer of God. We need a hammer, isn't it, to break certain things. So this also has to be broken. It doesn't have to be painful. It's not necessary that it should be painful. But if we are not ready, sometimes nature forces us into a situation where we either perish or we mold. But I think changing under force is not fun, no?
Hmm.
Change is inevitable. But there's like Damaji always says, quoting the mother, you do it or you'll be forced to do it. What is right, you'll have to do it. Not now, you delay it, say, this is not right, I'm not feeling so comfortable because it's not so easy. I want a little comfortable life. I'm not going to exercise. Okay, because I sweat. I don't like sweat at all. It looks bad. I don't like, I have to, wash my socks every time or XYZ reasons. What's going to happen if you don't take care of your body?
It won't take care of you.
How beautifully said. The body won't take care of you. Then Undertaker will have to take us. In fact, not in our tradition, of course, but I was just for the wordplay. But our life will only become, means I will be forced to a point where now I can't do work unless I do this exercise because my body right now is in a critical state. So many times we must not forget this aspect of the divine, and that is the crux or essence of this verse. Let us look at that particular verse. हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापिहितं मुखं तत्त्वं भूषणमपावृणो सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये. See, who is telling this? It is a yogi who is already awakened. The awakened yogi is quoting the Dhira. He's saying, Iti Sushrama Dhiranam, because he's studied, he's understood, he's realized, not just mentally or read by studied, by reading, by living, by practicing, by understanding. He has seen that. And yet, he is invoking a God. Many people say you should not bend or pray to God. In some spiritual, I have now realized I have become transcended. That's another foolishness. Some one spiritual path which people say this is far too advanced compared to every other spiritual path. I mean, Brahman is there everywhere, isn't it? What is advanced and what is regressive? If you understand, you're conscious, any action, as Krishna says, no? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Anything you offer can become a means for raising your consciousness into the divine. Instead of getting trapped there, here, this yogi who has realized is also bowing. He's bowing to a divine Pushan Bhagwan. Who is this Pushan? Pushan is that person who is giving potion. What is potion? It's also the name of the hair oil we manufacture, but what is potion? It is the not the advertisement, of course, but it is. I'll get in trouble if it's not advertisement. Okay, but potion is nourishment, isn't it? This Poshan Bhagwan is the nourisher of what? Nourisher of all lives. Like elsewhere, we were told, master of life, Mata Rishwan. Sri Aurobindo has also talked about that in the beginning. So this Pushan Bhagwan is invoked. What is he invoked for? Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tatvam pushan mapavruno satya dharmaya drishtaye. Yes, please, somebody had something to say? Is it? Any query?
No.
No, all right. Sorry. Yes, let's continue then. So, truth's reality is always veiled by a gleaming lid of gold. It lies in a vessel concealed. This cloak, O nourisher of life, please unveil. May the light of eternal truth verily reveal. This awakened yogi, this seeker of light, this Vedantic Rishi who is already in company of divine light by virtue of the Brahma Vidya possessed by him, is also recognizing that there is something higher, there is something greater, there is something bigger. And so is understanding the need to bow to that supreme force. And what is he asking? What is he asking? Satya Dharmaya Drishtaye. Let me see the Satya Dharma, the Dharma of truth. Because half of the people are fighting quixotic battles on what is dharma and what is adharma. Both don't know what is dharma and what is adharma. One side says this is dharma, other says no, says this is adharma. And many times both are wrong because they are trapped and not able to see the what is the highest truth. The highest truth cannot be perspective, isn't it? It cannot matter. It will not change my perspective. I think I think we said it's either good afternoon for or it is good night. But it in India it is good night, isn't it? Shashi ji
Yes.
said good afternoon because it is good afternoon in her place, isn't it? It will not change. She cannot call it good night because in India it is good night, isn't it? Right now, at this moment. Truth is truth. Truth is that which is manifest. And for manifesting, sometimes we have to realize that there is something higher, and the will, which is the highest, which is divine will, must be manifested. For that, we have to bow for the divine. We need that strength, we need that light. If the wise rishis understand, despite their great wisdom, despite their great knowledge, they understand that the divine has to show the truth, show the way of truth. Can any one of us take, can any one of us take the guarantee? Can we take the guarantee of the divine way? I know the divine way. No, we can't. We cannot take that. It is the divine's way. We don't have to. We are not supposed to do that. It is the job of the divine. Instead, we try to go on with a role which is assigned to us. Means understand something higher because suddenly what happens when people receive yoga bala, tapo bala, when you do sadhana, you get force, isn't it? It's a direct karmic action. It's a consequence.
Mm,
The weak become the strong suddenly. But when they get strong and then they start thinking, I alone am strong, it's a problem, isn't it?
mm,
That is where we fall. That is where we lose track of the way. Suddenly somebody gets some tantric experience, immediately feels my job is to now liberate the ghosts everywhere, and that ghost will only enter into that person now, which I have to give mukti. First become free, no, before you give mukti to anybody. Krishna has told in the Gita, moksha responsibility is divine's. Moksha ishyami mascha. Enjoy the ride, put on your favorite song, driver is driving, enjoy the scenery, whatever you are getting in. And Isha Vasya Midam Sarvam. You cannot choose. Why divine is taking me to this place? Why not in Kulu Manali? That atmosphere is such better, isn't it? We cannot choose. We cannot choose. So what is Satya Dharma should be understood in silence. Because when the silent truth manifests, even the skeptic has no option but to fall down. Fall down or be perished or perish. Fall down in the sense, fall down in submission to the truth. Broken will also start dreaming when the truth start manifesting. Just like how a skeptic who denies the presence of God. What happens when a skeptic sees God? Error, loading screen. No, the skeptic will immediately bow. She, they will bow to the divine because it is a sakshatkar, it is a realization. That is what happens. And but sometimes for that realization, you saw the experience of the spiritual experience of the mother, isn't it? A huge hammer like what the hammer of Thor, a big one. What is done with that hammer? It's shattering and breaking the door. It's breaking the door. It's violent, isn't it? This action of breaking, this action of shattering. Do we need this? Do we need this violence? Do we need this harshness or what? People call it harsh, no? This action of destruction, they breaking off old bonds. We prefer to hold on to them most of the time. But is it necessary? Is violence sometimes not violence in the sense, but force is a force required because we all like gentle things, isn't it?
Hmm.
But sometimes it's required when the old mold is not going to move. It's like divine ideally wants things to happen very naturally without having all of these aspects. If you look at Krishna, he never wanted Mahabharata, isn't it? The battle of Mahabharata, of course. He tried his best. The divine tried all attempts at preventing. He went as an emissary. He just asked, yes, Ushama, you want to share something, is it? You please feel free, anybody, if you want to, anytime. So he went as an emissary asking, let's avoid this battle. I'm not asking one. Just listen to me for a minute, at least a couple of minutes. Listen to me what I'm saying. Oh, Duryodhana, these people don't ask too much. Just five small villages you give to these Pandavas. They don't want anything else. Can you not give that to them? You'll not have trouble. They will also uphold their dharma because they had a swabhiman. They were not arrogant. They had the swadharma, isn't it? Swadharma should not be broken. You cannot allow anybody to trample upon it on any name, under any pretext. And this is what happened. Duryodhana said, if they are anybody, they have some sense, if they are having any kind of, they even questioned the Shatra dharma of them. If they are Kshatriyas, if they have any ounce of what we can say manliness inside of them, let them come and take their land. We are not going to give you. I mean, look at all of this. There was the blind emperor Dhritarashtra, right? The father only, no? Why is he blind? Not because he cannot see. I know many people who are blind and they can see so well. For example, this we have our Krishna's Butter project. We got a Braille edition, and we were so lucky how Krishna connected us to this All India Confederation of the Blind. Padma Shri Kaulji, Jawaharlal Kaulji. He is 83 years young, still writing emails. I was so shocked. First is you don't get an email easily reply from a Padma Shri generally, isn't it? He's replying. Next, I realized he's 83. Then I realized that at a very young age, he had done some study on Sanskrit and got a gold medal also. And each and every step, I realized he's still working at 83. This is Isha Upanishad in practice, isn't it? The only braille printer, or maybe one of the main braille printers. There may be some more now, but when he started, there was nobody. How is it possible? Well, cannot say such a person is blind at all, isn't it? This person has a vision which is beyond so many people who can see also. So this blindness is the blindness of ignorance, which many times we have because of ahankar, because of XYZ vikaras, we can say, and we don't have to worry about any vikara. And if we don't do it, nature is going to do it to somebody else. So better be aligned with the divine. So what did Krishna do? He said, Arjuna, this is the thing. Now I do not know what to do. There's no option. That time Arjuna was like, yeah, I'll take part. I'll fight. He was confident. Oh, see, I have this weapon, I have that weapon, I am so strong. The problem happens is when you have to take the decision or take the action, isn't it? Many
Hmm.
people, when they fight, you don't know how powerful I am. Street fights, they start like that. But when the time for punch comes, no, no, hi, nice meeting you. Don't do this next time. Other person says, you also don't do. We walk separately. Nobody really wants to do that action. Okay. So that action is not something. This action is where it is required sometimes to take a firm step. Otherwise, Satya Dharma will not be established. Not in the universe, in your life. You don't focus on the entire what will happen in the world. What do you think we should do for world peace? Can people discuss about that over coffee?
No.
How do no, isn't it? We start working, establish, and then who knows? Any ordinary person will become a conduit for establishing a big transformatory action. We don't need to worry. So the Satya Dharma is to be established. For that, we have to break that mold because truth is even the great highest truth is covered by a golden lid. Why is it golden? Because gold is one of the most purest of elements. And yet, even in that purest, everything is not there because there is something beyond it. So don't get what we can say just because it is so golden, don't get overwhelmed by it and believe it's truth.
Mm.
That has to be understood by breaking the mold, and this is exactly what the Upanishad talks. Isn't this suddenly different from the dualities which we saw in the previous slokas? Everybody, this particular sloka looks very different, isn't it? That is why
Yeah.
Sri Aurobindo has kept it in the next moment because now comes the final part. So embrace the world. Don't be embarrassed by the world or don't reject the world just because you don't like certain things. Everybody loves to go to a retreat and do sadhana for 5 days or 2 days. Beautiful health drinks are given in your plate. You're served organic bed tea and big sadhana is going on. In home, no, no, not at all. Absolutely. I cannot do it is what everybody feels. But real challenge is to face the difficult situations, isn't it? The
Mm.
challenge lies in facing the difficult situations, breaking all these barriers that are there. Otherwise, manifestation of truth will not take place. Let's get lost. I mean, let's get the opinions what we have or the preconceived notions lost. Let the divine's will be the driving factor. And the divine will can be absolutely anything. The divine will can be anything in the sense it can be opposite of exactly what you want. There is no specific mold, isn't it? Is there a factory that's manufacturing divine? Well, it comes out in this particular way only. Stamp of divine, manufactured, made in divine factory or something. Nothing like that. We will not know only where it is, what it is. It can be happening anytime if we are conscious. So that is what this Upanishad talks about. Every verse is actually asking us to become conscious. Because unless we do that, we will not get that realization. And what is that realization? That is only going to come now because slowly it is telling the
Can
person.
can
Yes,
you
sir.
elaborate on consciousness? What is that we are meaning here?
Okay. Yes, sir. Actually, first time, now I can tell something, but first time when I joined Damlej, it was when I was 21, around 14 years back. I had asked on the first day, sir, what is consciousness? He said, don't use that word. For you, it is concentration because my mind that time was monkey mind jumping around from one place to another. So it was like first you learn concentration, then we'll, because he told declared that time only consciousness will be most marketed term. Now we are having apps for raising consciousness after paying. You have special packages, you pay this much, get subscription, and most conscious apps are having more subscribers and high fees because these advanced consciousness programs. I wrote a poem called Consciousness for Sale about how in the shop consciousness is being sold in golden bottles. And what happens? The person ultimately buys that bottle and he opens it and he finds it's empty. Even the person says that is the consciousness inside. So consciousness is sukshma, we can say. Means being aware, isn't it, sir? Conscious, it's just being conscious is consciousness. Conscious of what? Of the divine. In
Mhm.
the dualities of things. Becoming conscious that it is a divine that is functioning and making people act badly also. Some of the nice people suddenly start acting in a different manner, isn't it? Because the wrong consciousness is functioning in them. Somebody you care for, you take care, you love so much, adore, and with all the good you do for them. Suddenly, when you do something which is not according to their mold of understanding, even if it is required for you, they will say, no. They say, you have changed, you're not the same person. You have become like this. You have changed so much. Do people really change? Eyes suddenly from here, they have moved here, or nose has changed morphologically. The person is the same, but the consciousness has changed. One person who is receptive to the divine consciousness will be more empathetic. A person who is receptive of the divine consciousness will be engaging in divine action. That person will be ready. You will have what is a drushti. Drushti in the sense eyesight. Eyesight of what? Of the divine truth. Not looking superficially at everything and no, no, this is wrong, that is right. No, no, this person did this, so it's he is the worst person, she is the worst person. No, this person doesn't care. Sometimes people scold. Elders scold us or not. Many of us are not fortunate enough to have elders scolding us right now, but many of us would say, if we have an elder scolding, it will be so wonderful. Because there's a love, isn't it, in that scolding also. If you can see the
Yeah.
love, you are able to receive the consciousness. If you cannot see that love, you don't have that drushti, you will not receive the consciousness, you will only create hatred inside of you because what is behind is not visible. So everywhere, sir, consciousness is spread. And that consciousness has to manifest. It is in the Gita also, they say, I think 13th adhyaya of the Gita. There is something, unmanifest consciousness called avyakta, that which is unmanifest. It is there in every kshetra. Sarva kshetreshu bharata. Where divine is also there. This unmanifest consciousness is also there. So the entire purpose of sadhana is to manifest the unmanifest consciousness. Make vyakta the avyakta. For that we have been given indriyas, we've been given mana, we've been given buddhi, and we have been given the opportunity to use these faculties to make that avyakta vyakta. So that could
And
probably be the, yes, sir.
the higher consciousness is the realization of the Brahman, is it?
It is the realization is an individual perspective, is an individual action, but the consciousness is flowing in the world also and in the highest, the silent Brahman or the active Brahman. A person who is conscious is in that flow of consciousness. That person doesn't become is what we call a advaita, no? The
Hmm.
Dvaita has there's no difference between the person who is experiencing it and who is the experiencer. That is why sadhana people do, and when sadhana happens, they start purifying their chitta. They call sadhana as chitta shuddhi also, because that is how they are becoming better and better. Otherwise, what happens? Everyday life, why do we call it mundane? Why do we call it boring? Why do we call it nothing happening in life? Because we don't have consciousness, no? We're doing the same thing. We're moving around in the same way. We've become used to the routines. And anybody tries to disturb that routine is the number one enemy. You will call that person not just your enemy, you will say that person is enemy of God also. But it doesn't make that person, and they say, I'll show you how you are wrong. Instead of showing somebody who is wrong, show what is right, immediately that person will follow it, isn't it? If that person understands,
Mm.
instead of going on that path. So this is something means Chit Kalyanam Hrudaye Nityam Sevya Seva Sevakarahitam Praptam Paramapadam Shantam Vimala Sukham, meaning that consciousness comes, you experience what is Sat Chit Ananda. Truth, consciousness, and bliss, they come together. Sri Aurobindo has talked about the divine trinity which is there in the Veda. Truth, consciousness, bliss. You have to seek the truth. How can you seek it? In this particular shloka, it talks about Chit Kalyanam, Hridaye Nityam. In your heart, I have one preoccupation, one aspect. I want to become better. Every action of mine must take me one step higher in consciousness. Anything. Means if the people as this is sin, this doing this action is sin. Doing this action is punya. And most of the time, people are lost in Papa Punya, thinking they are only Chitragupta, a divine accountant of keeping a record of everybody's punya papa, and we'll get more brownie points because I counted the punyas of all these people. Counted the papa of all those people. I've made a big. We are auditors for the divine. No, divine does not need auditor. Let the divine auditor. People say legendary Chitra Gupta is doing. I do not know how he is having. Probably he must be using divine AI tools, maybe. But automatically that is being done. It's not our job to sit and look. If we want, look at ourselves. There is one Papa and there is one Punya. What is the papa? Causing self-harm, walking directly, with saying, "Ah, Bail, mujhe maar," or going, jumping into a pit of darkness. Meaning, denying yourself a divine consciousness is the papa. Recognizing the divine consciousness and taking half a step, maybe even quarter step, or at least moving little bit, 1 inch closer to the divine consciousness is punya. That is simple as that. But understanding is important. So for that, we have to go. That is why this divine nourisher of all living beings, because if we don't receive that nourishment from the divine, we will not grow. That is what our occupation should be. So just let us continue to the next shloka. Pushane karsha, Pushane karshe yama surya, prajapatya vyuharashmin samuha, tejaha yatte rupam kalyantamam, tatte pashyami yosa vasau purushaha, sohamasmi. This is a beautiful shloka. This is a culmination of this Upanishad. If you see the height of the Upanishad, we will need some more time. It will be looked at in the next what we can say part of next session. We'll look at it because we have some more time. We'll look at it as a precursor or something like an introduction. And in the next, probably our Upanishad session will be complete. But this, what is this? Shall I just read that shloka out and once more? Means why sadhana? What is it going to do? And what is that realization that is going to be got? Who is saying that? Not me, not somebody else. The great Vedantic rishis. That is why these are meditated upon. Because if you don't meditate upon the truth, you'll never get clarity. You'll be running like how bees are running, no? Every time, every day. They have a program inserted by Prakriti. Who has inserted a software? We don't know, but everybody has got that software inside. Whether or they acknowledge it. Aren't we all going through the cycle of life? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, disease. Can I say I'm not going to have it? Of course, I don't want to have it. I don't want a birth. The birth is fine. In birth, we can have new births in one birth also. Dvija. Who is that Dvija? Somebody who has surrendered to the Guru. New birth of consciousness takes place. New life. New birth can happen every day, the day we choose to start a new consciousness. It can happen why every day? It can happen in every hora, or it can happen in every moment or every kshana if we decide to break the mold of our own past. So that is there. But what about Mrityu? What about Jara? What about Vyadhi? Now, these are not something we like, but whether or not we acknowledge it, it is there in our system, isn't it? Just now I met an electrician. He was saying, I'm now 43. He's as if he was, I have become 43 is a very sad thing. He said, I'm taking a glass of water and I'm getting cold. What has happened to me? I was like, look at my Guruji. Sir is nearing 80 and still is so fresh and energetic. This is not a ages or mindset. It is not that. But we have to understand that these are truths of life. And then this is Prakriti which is doing that, isn't it? So we are being driven by Prakriti. Somebody says, I don't want this. Every day we get charged, we charge our phones, isn't it?
Hmm.
We charge our phones, we charge our devices. Do we charge ourselves in some plug point? We don't have a plug point, we have sleeping, isn't it? That is the charging
Very true
mechanism which
point.
has been. And can we deny ourselves? We are not Gudakesh like Arjuna. He found a hack how to go on doing sadhana even without sleeping. That was his commitment. And there are people like there's a man. One day he was coming from the village carrying, his sticks and everything. It seems he forgot to sleep or he did not get sleep. And from then onwards, for years he has not slept. There was some record about him. So something hack has happened. But otherwise, sleep is an essential aspect. It is a part. It is a part of our life. So this entire Prakriti is controlling us, but there are the yogis who understand that higher consciousness will allow one person to become free from the control of Prakriti. We'll just look at this particular verse now and we'll just stop. Pushan ne karshe Yamasurya Prajapatya Vyuharashmin Samuha Tejaha yatte rupam kalyantamam tatte pashyami Yo sa vasau purushaha. Soham asmi. Soham. That's one great realization, isn't it? I am that.
I am that.
This is the final. And I am that. Soham asmi. I am that. That consciousness of I am that is established, realized. I am in that consciousness. But that is final. There's the final realization. It is a realization of what we saw as silent Brahman, isn't it? The Akshara Brahma. That is Soham Asmi. When does the Akshara Brahma realization come? This particular verse teaches us. It comes afterwards, after becoming active, after becoming conscious of the active Brahman, after becoming a Nimitta Matra, after performing action only, you are going to progress. Yatte Kalyanatamam Tatte Pashyami. In that which is brilliant, in that which is beautiful. In school, we had a poem, all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful. The Lord God made them all. I think it's a Christian prayer. I was in a Christian school, so that's what they made us memorize. But what was it there? In all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful. Can you see the divine? Can you see the divine in little, little moments? Can you see the divine in the ice cream you're eating? Can you see the divine in your friend? Can you see the divine in your little, little actions which are divine? I'm not asking you to search for Vikara and call the Vikara divine. If you can see the divine, then only final realization will come. And this is a simple system of realization. If you cannot see in the world the divinity, you are never going to get the higher realization. You have come into the world for realizing the divine in the world. Krishna also gives first Vibhuti Darshana, isn't it? Arjuna is also, he says, oh, he says, you are great. You just tell me. I don't need anything more. Tell me where I can see you, how I can perceive you. Tell me which form should I meditate. And then he gives such a big set of almost 72 different places. And he says, this is just a fraction of my brilliant divinity, a fraction which your processor can process. Otherwise, it's actually so vast, so brilliant, beyond you. Maybe we'll have to take 100,000 births just to understand my different manifestations. So many are there. I'm not going to tell you all. I'm going to tell you what is needed, what is necessary, which can allow you to progress. And what is the next progression after that? In the Gita, after the Vibhuti Darshan, anybody? If you can, what comes next?
Peru.
Yes, Aditi ji. Yes,
Peru darshan.
absolutely. Spot on. Perfectly said. Vishwarupa Darshana comes after the Vibhuti Darshana. And that Vishwarupa is the Virat Rupa. Unbelievable. So unbelievable that again Arjuna, who is still lost in duality, is afraid of dissolution, looking at it, and he gets scared again. So that is why we have to become conscious. I think, as Sudhakarji said, what is consciousness? I think we have to understand what is consciousness. That should all we should all have that question only for us in our everyday life. What is that consciousness? What is that divine consciousness? And to manifest that divine consciousness, we must not hesitate. Imagine Arjuna if he hesitated, no? He did hesitate. That is natural. Because of Prakriti's role, we get doubts, no? Will this happen? Arjuna had a panic attack. He had an anxiety attack only. And he was behaving like a school kid who does not want to go to school. Normal letter, as I'm suffering from fever, please. He says my throat has become dry. My throat is dry and parched. I'm suddenly feeling feverish. In one of the Gita classes where we had some medical, some friends also had joined. He said I would immediately make a case sheet ready for Arjuna. For he's having symptoms of what we can say pre-depression, anxiety. All his steps because he's having delusion. He's talking nonsense. He's telling this. He's asking Krishna, were we greedy? Is it for the greed of wealth? And who is he accusing? Somebody with perfect character, Yogeshwara himself, isn't it? And what did Yogeshwara do? He is in lie of Brahman only. His hero, it looks like there's going to be Narasamhar. There's going to be not death and destruction of one person. Families, entire families. How is Yogeshwara smiling? This will stop with this question. In the Gita, if you just look at it, the first reaction when his hero is crying in depression, he says, I'd rather die. I would rather die. I would. It's like he had a suicidal tendency, Arjuna. If I just get killed without doing anything, it would be better. I will get honor. I will get some honor, it seems. There's no honor that way for a Kshatriya. He's again in delusion speaking nonsense. But how is Krishna smiling or quietly smiling? There's a shloka, words, actual description is Prahasanniva Bharata. He is in a state of slight smile, that slight smile on his face. This is that you can see that almost voice, his voice is also laced with that tinge of laughter. Oh, Arjuna, you have become a intellectual now. One side you are speaking high intellect, another side you are crying desolately like a kid. He tells that. But why is the laughter there? Is he heartless? Is he cold? Is he cruel? Gandhari also, she complained of that only, isn't it? Krishna, you are like this. But what is the reason he could smile in such a great chaotic situation?
He's in charge. He knows best, I guess.
No, but he's
He's
in
in
charge.
charge. He knows.
Acha, that is one easy way. If we look at it from the silent Brahman participant, he is there, he is the divine. But if you look at it from our human perspective in the active Brahman
Mm.
part,
He's
what
able
will you say? What will you say?
he's
Aditi ji is adding. Yes, please.
he's able to recognize the play of forces
Ah, yes, he is
acting
able
on
to.
Arjun.
Yes, and he's not worried. He's
No.
not worried about the consequences. Later on, after the Mahabharata, what happens? Gandhari comes and says, no, you heartless creature, you heartless murderer, you've destroyed all these people. I did Krishna fire a single arrow?
No.
No,
No.
not at all. No. This is what people do, no? Accusation is called gaslighting, no? The one who does good, he is only accused. And it is said the victim is always silent. Oppressors make all the noise. Biggest noise. You are like this. You have spoiled my life. You are the one who has wasted last so many years of my life. I have been rushed by you. All this blah blah blah. The one who is silent is actually the victim only. So here, but Krishna is not the victim. Victim is helpless. Who's victim is victim because victim is not understanding. This is also a play of forces. Krishna is smiling because he's and yeah, when his accusation is told, he's not smiling, of course. But that time he expresses emotions also. He says, "You are saying you are feeling sorry. You are feeling sorry for losing your children. I lost children on both sides. Both were my children. Each person fell, a part of me fell. Mother, you do not know what is my sorrow." So what was it, Mamata of Gandhari, which allowed her or empowered her to curse Krishna? Was it Mamata? Was it divine love?
Couldn't be divine love if she
It
was
couldn't, it was
good.
not love only, no? It was attachment.
Attachment.
So attachment makes a person forget, and that time she ceases to be a mother, isn't it?
Mm. Mm.
Jagadamba should be Janani of the world, not selfish. Selfish for one person only. And that's why. And Krishna says, okay, take it, give me that curse, I'll take it. I eat curses for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Send me how many more you want. I am doing this because it needs to be done. Whether I get a good name or a bad name. That is the right way. So I think with this, we are ready to move to the final part of this Upanishad. So looking forward for the next session where we will be completing this study of the Upanishad. Again, this is just a preliminary study. I did not do the Vyakarana because I'm not expert in Vyakarana, but we're just trying to see the Bhavartha of this Upanishad with an aim that it can be practically manifested by us. Um, the more we read, it will be better. And like I said, volume number 17 of Sri Aurobindo, this complete works is beautiful. It has more than 500 pages of what this Upanishad is. So anyway, let us conclude. If somebody can give a summary, looking forward. Yes, please.
Hmm.
Yeah, Chitra ji is not there for the summary. So anybody else, please. Yes, anyone? I cannot go to the next part of the day without a summary. I can't conclude.
Hello. Okay, I'll say
Yes,
this.
yes, Sita Lakshmi ji. Yes, please. Sita Lakshmi ji is rescuing today. Who is that? Shukadev. This Shukadev is attending.
He was disturbing me. That's why I couldn't switch on that video.
Oh,
Who knows? He was active Brahman giving Brahma Vidya also. We do not know. Yes, please. Yes, ji.
So we should be able to align with the Brahman. Actually, we must
Okay.
be awake and aware of.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we'll be trapped in the vikara, that is the darkness, the unconsciousness. We should be able to break the walls and get connected. Walls of darkness, like we can say, means we should be able to get connected. Only through that we can get connected to the divine. Uh, Satya Dharma, Utrashya,
Yadrishya.
Utrashya you said. We should be able to see the truth being manifested. And
Yes.
the silent it will be silently hidden. Actually, the truth is mostly silently hidden, but we should be able to realize it, see, focus on it, and break come and come to it, manifest it. Satya Dharma has to be established, and we should be
Yes, ji.
conscious. And we spoke about consciousness also, and we should be aware of what is consciousness. You asked, we discussed. Means like we will be able to see our inner self.
Yes. Yes, ji. All right. So we have to become conscious. That is something which we can draw as an important inference. Many times on the surface, we shouldn't get agitated by things happening. Look at the higher will behind it. All right. Yes, ji. Anybody
And
wants to add anything more or we conclude? Yes, ji.
the entire prakriti is controlling us.
So we have to come out of that
Come out of
control and
it.
become free with
We
sadhana.
have to be free with sadhana.
Yes. All right, ji. Okay.
and
With this, we conclude with the Shanti mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
हरि ओम
Hari Om.
नमस्ते
Hari Om ji.
नमस्ते हरि
Hari
ओम जी
Om.
Hari Om.
पुनर्मिलामः हरि ओम
Thank, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
All right हरि ओम नमस्ते yes Shashi ji, were you adding something? If not, I conclude.
No,
All right. Okay ji.
I'm not very good at taking notes. It's either listening or taking notes.
I am also not good at notes, taking notes. Yes,
And that's why I
that's
keep
fine. We don't
mum.
need to take notes. If you don't need it, you don't need it. It's absolutely fine. But this is going to be live all times.
No,
So
I
you can
would need
pass,
it, but I'm
rewind,
not
or
good at
forward it also. Yes, ji. All right, ji. Yes, ji.
it's
Hari
one
Om.
or the other. So I
Yeah.
let all the other people who already know so
Oh,
much
Vidisha
for
ji
me.
shared the poem. She had learned it in the school days. The purple-headed mountains, the river running by, the sunset and the morning that brightens up the sky. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful. It was God that made them all. Absolutely. Then this is the crux of the next verse actually, which we're going to see. Thank you,
Yes.
Vidisha ji, for sharing that. All right. Ji.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Beautiful
Hari Om.
poem.
All right. Ji. Thank you, ji. Bye.
Good night.
Shivratri. Shivratri and good afternoon to you. Yes,
Thank
ji.
you.
Thank you.
Tea time for me.
Oh, okay. You are going to eat
Good night.
Brahman.
Yes.
All right.